Hello and welcome to all my dear students and viewers. I welcome you all to your favorite YouTube channel SJACE Classes. I am Amit Shukla, your English teacher, and today we are going to study speech in this video. Speech has many meanings. However, when we talk about speech in terms of English grammar, we need to understand what is speech. Speech in English grammar means two different ways of conveying the word of the speaker. That means speech, which we are going to study in this video, offers us two ways of conveying the same message of a speaker in two different ways without changing its meaning. Speech can be divided into two parts. As I said, it gives us two options, that is direct and indirect speech. Let's understand what is direct and indirect speech, and then later in this video we will also learn how to transform a direct speech sentence into indirect speech sentence. First, let's understand what these sentences are. Direct speech. Direct speech is a sentence which allows us to convey the words of the speaker in his own actual words without any change. That means direct speech will be used to convey the speaker's message exactly as he or she has said without making any changes. And indirect speech, the message of the speaker is conveyed or reported in our own words. So these are the two ways. One, same as the words said by the speaker, or second, the message can be conveyed, the similar message can be conveyed in our own words. For example, a direct sentence is there on your screen. Radha said, "I am very busy now." So here we are quoting, or we are using exact words what were said by Radha. When we write it in indirect, it becomes Radha said that she was very busy then. So both the sentences are conveying the same meaning, but they are written in two different forms. In direct form, the actual words, and the indirect form takes our own words. Now students, you must have noticed that this conversion of the sentence, the same sentence, Radha said, "I am very busy now," when it was converted to indirect, there were some changes which were to be done to make it an indirect sentence. Below are those changes which we made. First, all inverted commas or quotation marks are removed and the sentence ends with a full stop. So a direct speech an indirect speech sentence will always end with a full stop. Conjunction that is added before the indirect statement. Although in some cases you can even write the sentence without this conjunction that. Then third change which we made in this sentence is the pronoun I is changed to she. And the fourth is the verb am is changed to was, and fifth, the adverb now is changed to then. So these are the changes which we made to the direct sentence to obtain an indirect sentence. Now these changes are done in a set pattern according to some rules. What are those rules? We will understand them so that we are able to convert these sentences, transform these sentences, write these sentences, speak these sentences correctly whenever we are trying to use them. So let's take a look at the tips on direct and indirect speech. In these tips, we will be talking of how a direct speech statement can be converted or transformed into an indirect speech statement. So tip number 1 says conversion rules as per the reporting verb. So how we will change or what rules we will apply when we will take the reporting verb into account. the reporting verb of the direct speech statement. First is when the reporting verb or principal verb is in the past tense, all the present tenses of the direct are changed into the corresponding past tenses. So the important point to be noted over here is that past tense is changed to present tense and it is changed into the corresponding past tense. So if your reporting verb or principal verb is in the past tense, then whatever present tense is there inside the quotation marks will change to its corresponding past tense. Like for example, direct statement says he said I am unwell. Indirect says he said he was unwell or he said that he was unwell. So am is changing to was over here because our reporting verb over here is or principal verb over here is said, which is in the past tense. Now if the reporting verb is in the present tense or future tense, the tenses of the direct speech do not change. When we say the tenses of the direct speech means the portion within the quotation marks. That is the direct speech, speaker's actual words. So if the reporting verb is in the past, we know that we will change everything to corresponding past tense within the quotes. And if the reporting verb is in present or future, the tenses of the direct speech will not change. Like if it is he says in your example, which is present, or will say, which is future. So he says or will say I am unwell. In direct speech, it becomes he says or will say he is unwell. So we see that we don't make any change to the verb here and am becomes is. In the first example, am became was because of the reporting verb being in the past. Last, the tense in indirect speech is not changed if the words within the quotation marks talk about a universal truth or habitual action. Very simple to remember. Whenever you are talking about or whenever the content in the quote within the quotes, which is direct speech, if that content is talking about any habitual action which happens regularly, or of a universal truth like we cannot live without water, then we will not make any changes irrespective of what tense the reporting verb carries. So we see here they said the reporting verb is in the past tense, but we are not applying the first formula. Why? Because what is written in the quotes or the direct speech is a universal truth. So they said we cannot live without water. They said that we cannot live without water. So this is how we need to handle reporting verb cases. Either it will be in the past, apply the first rule. If it is in the present or future, apply the second rule, and remember the third rule. Now tip number 2. Tip number 2 talks about conversion rules of present tense in direct speech. That means we were talking about corresponding. So this is that corresponding tense will be discussed in this section. Simple present changes to simple past. So if in all these examples in this section we will see that one thing is common, and that is the principal verb or the reporting verb is in the past tense. So simple present will change to its corresponding past as per the rule. This is the corresponding past. Simple present will change to simple past. Present continuous will change to past continuous. I am reading a book will become he was reading a book. Now how I became he, we will discuss it later. For now we need to understand present tense becoming past tense. Simple present will become simple past. Present continuous will change to past continuous. Present perfect will change to past perfect, and past perfect continuous changes to present perfect continuous changes to past perfect continuous. So corresponding, it is easy to remember corresponding. If it is simple present, we need to make simple past. So these are the corresponding rules which we need to remember while applying the rules according to the reporting verb if it is in past. Now rule number 3 talks about conversion rules of past and future tense. So we saw the present. Now let's take care of past and future tenses. Simple past changes to past perfect. He said Ira arrived on Monday. He said that Ira had arrived on Monday. So simple past arrived changes to past perfect had arrived. Past continuous changes to past perfect continuous. So we were living in Goa becomes they had been living in Goa. This is how the change of tense is to be done and it is to be remembered. There are not many changes related to tense. Past is simple. It is present is simple. It changes to its corresponding past. Past and future tense. These 4 rules are there to remember. Future changes to present conditional and future continuous changes to conditional continuous. When we talk about conditional, the word would will be used because it is a condition. You are not sure about it. He said, I will be in Kolkata tomorrow. He said that he would be in Kolkata the next day. So, these are the rules which you need to remember to take care of the past and future tense in your direct speech, which means the past and future tense in your quotation marks. These are the changes which you need to remember. These are just the 4 changes. Let's move on to the next tip, tip number 4. Tip number 4 says changes in modals. What are modals, students? Modals, yes, we have studied it earlier, correct. Modals are kind of helping verbs. So there are some changes. There are rules for changes in modals as well. You need to remember these changes. And you need to simply apply these changes to get correct transformation from direct to indirect. Can changes into could, may changes into might, must changes into had to or would have to. So it's had to or would have to. It's not would had to. So remember. And these are the changes which you need to remember. Modals that do not change are would, could, might, should, ought to. So again, very simple tip to remember. Can will change to could. He said I can swim. He said that he could swim. Likewise, the other changes are also there. The modals that do not change you need to remember because you are changing can to could. So if you get could in your direct speech, then it will not be changed when it is being converted to indirect speech. It will remain could. Could will not become can will become could. Likewise, would, could, might, should, ought to will not change. Right? So tip number 4 is changes in modals or helping verbs. Next, tip number 5 talks about conversion of interrogative. Conversion of interrogative means if our direct speech sentence is an interrogative sentence, how we will make it an indirect statement. First point is reporting verb like said or said to changes to asked, inquired or demanded. Simple change. The reporting verb will change to either asked, inquired or demanded. All these 3 words represent a question. And these words are important to be used because, as I said earlier, an indirect speech statement will always end with a full stop. Don't get confused with passive sentences over here. Active passive is different. We have covered that in another video. So you can take your tips from that video. But here you need to remember one rule, that indirect speech statement will always end with a full stop. So said to will become asked. Second says, if sentence begins with auxiliary verb is again helping verb. So if sentence begins with a helping verb, the joining clause should be if or whether. Means if the direct speech statement which you get to transform or to change, if it is beginning means quotation, whatever the content is there in the quotation, that we will take into consideration. So if that quotation, or if the matter within the quote or the direct speech, whatever you say, it is same, if it is beginning with a helping verb, then either if or whether should be used in indirect. If or whether can be used interchangeably. There is no fixed rule that if is to be used here and whether is to be used there. You can use them interchangeably anywhere you want to. Like example, he said, will you come for the meeting? He asked, see, said is changed to asked here. So you can write he asked, he inquired, or he demanded them if they would come for the meeting or whether they would come for the meeting. And the third tip which you need to remember while conversion of interrogative is, if your sentence or the content within the quotation marks, if it is beginning with WH word, WH is question words, yes, who, where, why, when, these are WH words. So if your indirect statement is beginning with WH words, then no conjunction is used, because we use the same WH word which is given in the question in the indirect statement as a joining clause. We will understand better with this example. Where do you live? Asked the girl. So asked is changed into inquired. The girl inquired where. So same WH word is used, where I lived. Live becomes lived because the girl has asked. It is in past, so live becomes lived. Simple it is. What it requires is practice. As I say in every video of mine, in every class and session of mine, I've told you, practice is what is needed. If you practice all these tips which we have discussed till now, and which I'm going to discuss further in this video, they are very easy to remember and understand. It is not rocket science, but yes, it requires perseverance, which is a tough job. Perseverance means you'll have to keep on doing it. So think of doing it. Let's move on to the next tip now. Tip number 6 is talking about dealing with another type of sentences, which is command, request, exclamation, or wish. So let's deal with commands and requests first. If the direct speech statement is conveying any command or request, then indirect speech is introduced by some verbs like ordered, requested, advised, and suggested. So for interrogative, it was asked, demanded, inquired. For command and request, it will be ordered, requested, advised, suggested. And if you want to say no, then forbid or forbade is to be used. So again, the change is made to the reporting verb here in this case as well. It is changed either to ordered, requested, advised, or suggested. That is to be decided according to what is being said in the sentence. And then the imperative mood is changed into the infinitive mood. So the imperative mood is changed into the infinitive mood, means we will use the infinitive form of verb over here. And then infinitive form of verb is to plus the base form of verb. And it's simple. Rafiq said to Ahmad, go away. सो ऑर्डर मान लीजिए, Rafiq ordered Ahmad to go away. So, go away is the imperative mood over here, and that imperative mood is changed to infinitive. Go is changed to go. Likewise, in the second example, he said to her, please wait. So, he requested her, wait again becomes, he requested her to wait. And if we are dealing with exclamations and wishes, interrogative we have covered, commands and request we have covered. Now if the sentence, direct speech sentence, is dealing with exclamation or wish, then our indirect speech is introduced by some words like grief, sorrow, happiness, rejoice, applaud. These are the words which will be used in place of your reporting verb. And the exclamatory sentence changes into assertive sentence, and interjections are removed. So exclamation marks and all which are present will be removed, and exclamatory sentence will be changed into assertive sentence. That means again it will have only a full stop, no exclamation marks. Example, he said, alas, I am undone. So alas is a sadness. We know that it indicates sadness, sorrow, grief. So indirect will become, he exclaimed sadly that he was broke. Broke is undone, same. So these are the things which we need to remember when we are dealing with interrogative sentences, commands, request, exclamation or wish sentence in our direct sentence. These are the tips which help us to transform such type of sentences very easily into indirect speech. Remember the tips, apply them. The answer which you will get of transformation will be correct. So to make sure that our transformations are correct, let's move on to the next tip, tip number 7, that is change of pronouns. Yes, the pronouns will also change. How they will change? Let's come here and see. The first person of the reported speech changes according to the subject of the reporting speech. So, the first person of the reported speech will change according to the subject of the reporting speech. Like, she said, I am in 9th class. So now if you will like to change you will be confused between he or she. So to decide whether he or she, you will look what is there before the reporting verb. It is she, so she says that she was in 9th class. She की जगह he, so he said I am in 9th class. He said that he was in 9th class. So that will change according to the subject. The second person will change according to the object. He says to them, you have completed your job. So he tells them that they have completed their job. So subject is changing according to the first person, or the first person is changing the first person is changing according to the subject. The second person is changing according to the object, and the third person will never change. He says she is in 10th class. He says that she is in 10th class. So for that I give you a simple formula: son upon 1, 2, 3. SON, son upon 1, 2, 3. So first person according to subject, second person according to object, and third person, and for no change. Easy to remember. Next tip, tip number 8. Change of place and time. Couple of more tips left. Please pay attention to it. They are all important. Change of place and time. Now what happens in this case when we are using the change of place and time? Words expressing nearness in time or place are generally changed into words expressing distance. So there is a list of words on your screen over here. You need to remember, you need to learn them by heart them as they are. Now becomes then, ago becomes before, today becomes that day, this becomes that, these becomes those, come, go. Likewise, there is a whole list for you. Please remember it, learn it. You'll have to learn it, and as you keep on practicing, automatically you will start remembering and writing them correctly. Example, she said my father came yesterday. So she said that her father had came the day before. So she said my father came yesterday. She said that my becomes her because it is she over there. Father came becomes had come yesterday, the day before. So see, all the rules which we have read till now, if we apply them correctly, what we get is a correct answer. However, these changes will not apply if the direct speech or the reporting verb is in present or future. For example, she says my father came yesterday. So here it will remain she says that her father had come yesterday. Here it will not change, because the reporting verb is either in present tense or in future tense. If it is in past tense like first example, then we will change it as we have done over there. So this is what we need to remember when we talk about place and time, changing of place and time from direct speech to indirect speech. Tip number 9 talks about punctuation. Very important. If the punctuation is wrong, you might lose all the mark. So make sure that punctuation is not wrong. Your pen is working properly. If you are putting a full stop, it is looking like a full stop. If you're putting a comma, it is looking like a comma. If you're using quotes, they should look like a quote. So make sure, because punctuations are very costly in grammar. Now let's see what this tip number 9 says related to punctuation. The words that are actually spoken should be enclosed in quotes and begin with a capital letter. So if you are changing from an indirect statement to a direct statement, then make sure that the words of the speaker are within quotation marks or quotes. And as a basic rule, the first letter after the quotes will always begin with a capital letter. So that is a rule which you need to follow. Then comma, full stop, question mark or exclamation mark must be present at the end of reported sentences and are placed inside the closing inverted commas or commas. So again, when you are converting from indirect to direct, make sure whatever type of question or full stop or comma or exclamation mark, whatever type of mark you are using, use it correctly first thing, and second, it has to be within the inverted commas. Most common error, it is written outside the inverted comma. That is incorrect. The examiner has all the rights to strike that off, claiming the grammar error. Third, if direct speech comes after the information about who is speaking, comma is used to introduce the piece of speech. So this simply reminds us that we need to use a comma while separating what is being said and by whom it is being said in a direct speech statement. Is it clear? For example, she shouted, "Stop talking." So shouted is followed by a comma, and then the direct speech is within the inverted comma, and we can see that the exclamation is within the inverted commas. So just remember, this is how we need to follow it. These are simple punctuation tips which you need to remember while you are converting from indirect to direct speech. Direct to indirect is not a problem because the sentence will always end with a full stop. Now, before we sign up this session, a quick tip: conversion of indirect to direct speech. These are certain tips. Please, you can self-read it. It is helpful when you are converting from indirect to direct speech. So this is what we need to remember to master the direct and indirect speech statements. Now, I would like to end this session with a tip for all of you. If you were attentive during the video, you must have noticed we were using say, told, these things differently. Let's understand how and when they should be used. This will make your English sound better and more grammatically correct. Use say when there is no indirect object. Like, he said that he was tired. However, when the person is talking to someone, always use tell, because you have an indirect object over there. So, he said that he was tired is correct, and he told me that he was tired. He told he was tired, incorrect. He said to me, again incorrect. So, he told me that he was tired. When there is an indirect object, use tell or its correct form. If there is no indirect object, use say or its correct form. Say, said, said to, tell, told, told to. This all you will use. Similar with talk and speak, use these verbs to describe the action of communicating. He talked to us. She was speaking on the telephone. Use these verbs with about to refer to what was said. He talked to us about his parents. So again, just remember what these tips are asking you to do. Say and tell is most important because you will use them in almost every sentence. So pay attention to it. Keep learning. Thank you for attending this session. If you like the information shared with you, please give me a thumbs up.